Okay, welcome back. So, what are we doing today? Just doodling a bit on our piece that we're planning to auction off for the Wildfire Relief Foundation. Last time we inked in our Ponzi and our Executor, so we can experiment more with the backgrounds and water level. I also decided to put Gyarados somewhere in here to kind of show the ending to our Gyarados and Ho-Oh picture I had done previously, which unfortunately there's not a video for because that painting predates this channel. So why don't we get started? First, you may notice that I have some Alolan Executor here in the background, and I plan to have a bunch of those. Now, personally, I kind of headcanon that this guy and that guy are pretty much the same. That if you had one of these guys there, they're going to grow into that. I actually imagine this is kind of like a sooner stage of that tree. I have quite a few palms of different breeds in my yard, and many of them start out like this and then look quite different or longer over time. Even the more traditional date palm, I mean, it really slenders out as it grows, but it looks like a chunky boy when it's short. I'm going to start, though, with outlining this mountain they're on. I haven't decided too much what I want to do with it. By the way, to all my American viewers out there, how was your Thanksgiving? As of recording this, recording it on Thanksgiving. I'm going to start out with just a nice log, actually. And I can use the log to kind of show some of the damage. I love doing knot holes in my logs. If you see me draw wood, I'll often put a knot hole in it. I'm going to do some lines just to make it go through, make more sense to me. Use some nice rocks here. I'm going to give them some moss on them. And still have the dirt going up behind this boy a little bit. Maybe I'll do some of that grass in the background like I did on kind of like I did the reeds on one of my first paintings. Actually, what I consider the first painting in this series. Which, I'm realizing I haven't named that one. I'm just going to call it the butt. Mud Cheeks. I don't know. Definitely want some different looking terrain, though. You know, got some slopes there. Now, I actually kind of wanting to ink this guy up real quick because I don't want to lose him. I really like him. And again, I learned, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it's like I always say, this is an educational channel. I consider it educational. I learned I will no longer be marking in my margarines. I cannot believe it's not margarines. No, I have a separate piece of paper to mark on to test my edges. Now, so why was I doing it differently before? Well, my art teachers I had before that taught me about margins, they were very insistent that everything has to stay inside the margin. You might have, like, with a painting, a little brushing going outside of it, They didn't want you putting detail on it. They didn't want you spending time on it. Their idea was that part of the painting, you're never going to see it. But I felt it left the paintings looking a little emptier than they should. And obviously, you know, that's the one thing about art. I'm sure you too. If you learn something from me, you're probably going to end up doing it different in the long run. It is a very personal thing. You know, we could all draw the same Pokemon. And, you know, we could make Pikachu, and we could try to make it look as much like Ken as possible, and try to put as little inference as we can possible on there, but there's always going to be a little. You know, one of my favorite fields of forensics is forensic handwriting analysis, and actually, I always wondered if you could do the same thing with drawings. I mean, now, not to discredit, there's a lot of copy artists out there who can get their shit pretty one for one, but there's always little things. Like, just little things, like, even how they loop their shine. Do they go over or under? Where lines start and finish? Like, things that people who don't draw wouldn't think about. And, honestly, things that people who do draw don't really think about too much. Looks a lot like Sideshow Mel here. Love me some Kelsey Gramma. Pen's starting to mess on me. I went too slow. Got our face right here. You know, in Japan, his name apparently just means coconut. At least that's what I heard. Don't speak a lot of Japanese. Don't read a lot of Japanese. I tried, and God, you know, I mean, I've learned a few languages. Some I can only more so read, like Hebrew, but Japanese, like, dude, you have the worst, out of everything I've seen, you have the worst construct of letters. Like, people always say English is the worst language, but it is. It's pretty freaking horrible, but I will argue that the structure of the Japanese alphabet is worse, and they just need to decide on something else at this point. You know, people are like, oh, you got your kana, your katakana, it's different. So you have 3 different writing styles. And what they don't talk about is the historical origins of it. So they have their own traditional characters, which changed post-World War II, by the way. So there's some characters that aren't in use. I think it's like a WU sound and a few others that you're only going to see in pre-war documents. And it just fell out of use. I guess that sound fell out of use, or how they write that sound. But you have their native traditional set of letters. Then you have the one that comes from them adapting words from Chinese when they dealt with influx of Chinese culture during the failed Mongol invasions. You know, when the Mongols took over China, tried expanding a bit more. Anyways, you know, cultures mix. They get Buddhism, they develop Zen Buddhism. They bring words with them, parts of their culture with them. It adapts. And they get their own set of letters. So you already have 2 sets of letters. And then you have the third set. What is the third set? So the third set is, and I find Japanese just trying to like, oh, we can't pronounce that, we're going to say it our way. With English, and them trying to make letters for English words and whatnot, and it's like, dude, just give up at this point, or pick one. And that's like, yeah, I mean, I get, like, the Chinese ones and the Japanese ones look pretty similar, but the other foreign word one and the Jap, they look so similar, and it's like, well, which one are you writing in? And then some of them, like, the words cross over, and it's like, you know, it has one meaning in one, and it's like, it seems odd to me. And it made it very hard to learn any of it at all. I wasn't having fun, I obviously gave up on it. You know, another interesting one is in China, they have Cantonese. And Cantonese, there's another local language. And it uses the exact same characters as Cantonese. But how you pronounce them and the order you write them in are different. So it's like, to one word it'll look like gibberish, but to another it looks like something else. Or it might look like one word in one version and one in the other. I think people tend to forget how big China is and how many ethnic groups are in there. So now that we have that boy inked in, our Sideshow Bob Palm, I can go and do my beach and not have to fear about drawing through him and not having connecting lines. I think I got a good outline there for what I want. I'll probably put a few more palm trees. I want them down because you don't see too many on the beach, you know? I'm sorry, I realize you can hear my breathing in quite a few of these videos, and I'm trying to figure out how to breathe. Quieter? I think I just need to be calmer. Alright, so we got our beach outline. We got all this outlined, and you know what? I actually kind of like it. That came up really quick, so I'm going to more or less ink it. I'm going to do one more Cocoa. It's kind of drooping in the side here. So he's kind of back in the line, but he's a little taller than everybody else. Now, sometimes when you're doing stuff like this, is when the pins that are running out help because they don't put out as much ink. If you don't have pins with different points. Which honestly, when it comes to what I'm doing here, you're kind of limited on your pin options. Someone knows a good brand of watercolor pens that have different size points on them. I would love to know that. You'd be a great friend of the channel. Oh, so I recently ordered Prismacolor color pencils. I was talking to a friend online, and they showed me a piece that I was convinced that they had done with some sort of oil-based paint. They're like, nope, just Prismacolor pencils. And I thought, that'd be a nice thing. Because, I'm just using literally all the color pencils I've collected over my life. Except for one maroon that arrived empty. And I should probably upgrade to some professional. And yeah, my art teachers, not only did they let me use that, it was kind of what you had, but many art teachers actually have supplies as well. You have to look into your school. Some are going to be very strict. And then some, it's like a mix, man. Like I told you with my first one, like, if we're doing paper mache, of course she's going to get the stuff, but you, like, if you wanted to paint, you had to buy the canvas, you had to buy the paints, and they don't really give good instruction on it a lot of the time. They just figure, it's like, you got to tell them. I think, personally, if you're actually paying for a school, like a tuition, that they should supply the tools you need. There should at least be a thing where it's, like, included in the price or whatever. I mean, like a lot of professions, you want to make sure they have the right things to have them. They have the right tools for the job. Trying to do like every single one. Different emotion, even though they're super tiny. Maybe I should hide something funny on the beach. Let me, I'm going to leave some of what's in here more blank and just get the general outline for now. Now it's looking really good. Now I'm kind of wondering what we can hide in that beach. No, I shouldn't have inked those in. I wanted to green them in, but whatever. Just do it now. I mean, it's kind of small. Anything I do like that sandcastle, it'll just look like a lump. And I already had the Gyarados in the water. I think we need to stick to minimal. I think I like to hide one or two things, you know, but not too many. And we'll just do some little lines in here to make it look kind of like a knot hole. Does it look like a knot hole or does it not look like a hole? You know, if you're returning to the channel and you're still with me after all my puns, I do appreciate that. And if this is your first time on the channel and you've made it this far in the video, boy howdy do I appreciate that too. You know, all the support really helps. Especially, they've really been hiding my stuff, and like I'll get like 1 or 2 videos they show a lot, and then they'll just bury them and I'll get like 4 views. There's like no consistency to, well, there is, it's a pattern. Like if you scroll down my thing you can see it, but you know, any likes, subscriptions, comments greatly help out. And again, like if you ever want to recommend a charity for me to paint for, or a Pokemon you'd like to see me paint, or a scenario, or even if you'd like to commission something for yourself, all that will be, my line is open for all that. I guess if someone didn't pay for their commission, I would just auction it off. Maybe for some sort of debt-related charity. I don't know, I'd find something funny for that. Usually, I get paid for my stuff, though. I haven't had that trouble too much. And, you know, also, if you'd just like to tell me that I suck and to go screw myself, well, you know, gosh, appreciate that too, because tricks the algorithm. It's all the same to it. I could just purposely say Pokemon's names wrong. Boonsley. Yes, this is a Boonsley, and this is Executor. You know, my son, he calls him Executor. And, I wish I could be more mature about it, but I can't. I'm just putting some little grass effects here. I'll blend in later. Or I have some here too, like whoosh. Little bits. See, I'll do some like that, and then I'll go in and I'll do more with the brush. Yeah, I could do like some sort of flower on here, like a stamen. And then I'll do like yellow, like little yellow bushes, bushels. There you go, get some wildflowers in there. You know, there's often a lot of plants that actually come up because of wildfires. Like here we have the sequoias, and the fires actually crack their corns so that they can properly seed on the ground. We have a lot of plants that get nutrients from the ash. Sometimes smaller plants that were getting choked out each year by the bigger, taller plants with more shade take over. Like a lot of times when you cut the wild grass around here, you get a bunch of the shitty weeds. That's why I tell them, like, they want to keep destroying their grass, and then they get goat heads, and they wonder why they have goat heads. Because you took out all the plant that was strangling your goat heads. Which, for those who don't know, goat heads are these little thorns that you step on and ruin your tires. Like, even some motorcycle tires, they'll pop. It's freaking terrible. I know I mentioned in one of my previous videos about the people that collect mushrooms, like morel mushrooms come up often after fires. And people will go back to look at the damage to their home, and there'll be freaking people hunting mushrooms. It's like, you know, as long as we're talking about wildfires, I want to talk about one of God's special people. And I often say God's special people as an insult, but I also mean it generally. And Guy Fieri, the goat, the god, the living embodiment of Groudon himself, possibly, Guy Fieri. When there was wildfires around here, you know what he did? With his own money, he got a bunch of barbecue stuff, and he went and he cooked food for the families displaced by those fires, for the people who were being evacuated, and for the firefighters working. And that just made me admire the guy even more. And you know what people on the internet did? They complained at him, saying it was insensitive that he barbecued food because they were in a fire. How do you expect him to cook food on the go for people? Again, people who don't understand how crap works just complain and complain. It's like, oh yeah, did any of you feed any of these people? Did you help any of these people? You think they'd be done better? Go help them. Don't complain about the person that is helping them. Especially someone as great as Guy Fieri. So, what I'm going to do here, I have my old outline. I'm actually going to keep it. But I'm going to kind of put like waves around it. And the reason is because if you see beaches, like I'll try to find an example here, often the sand will not be continuous. Like you'll have a lot of cliffy outcrops. Oh, like Pismo. There's like a very small stretch of beach, and then it gives way to cliffs on each side. It's only where the water dips and flows and ebbs and can build up or break away. So that's kind of what I want to imitate there with that. Especially in Hawaii, because it's volcanic. It's just mountains sticking up out of the ocean in the middle of nowhere. So I feel like I got all that clear. So what I really like to do is define the outline on my Gyarados and my Ho-Oh. I think that'll be a good place to finish this video up today. So let me get something to look up some references on. Oh, that's funny. I found a Pokeball. It's my son's. And this phone is my son's too. And we're going to look up first Ho-Oh. You know, something cool about Ho-Oh is he's actually based on a phoenix, and that's why you get the sacred ash. Like, from him. And I know a lot of people would say, well, they have Moltres. But yeah, Moltres is like a Western phoenix. You know, that might not have been taken into consideration when designing his character. He's just a firebird. Really, the Western Phoenix isn't even on fire. It's just a newer association that's gotten people there. But the Chinese Phoenix, whose name I cannot remember right now, as you can see, looks pretty much like a Ho-Oh. And that is the one that it's based on. I keep typing in Ho-Oh and keeps auto-correcting it to friggin' Hook. Do not auto-correct my shit. Especially when you're wrong. Oh, that's funny. Here's a Pride Ho-Oh. Oh, I really like this one. Whoever drew that, pretty good. You can really see like the shadowing on the beak to show curve and whatnot. Might just save that one for later. But what we want is just one of him soaring. Okay, so we got our reference material. It's just going to be for a rough outline. I'm probably going to do the Ho-Oh black. Well, not black, but silhouetted out. You know, as long as we're on misunderstandings about mythical creatures, you know, a funny fact of how we got fire-breathing dragons in Western culture. So that came from George and the Dragon, which was some dude on a horse stabbing a monitor lizard. Now, first, they were described as having venomous breath. Because, you know, they just really thought all reptiles had some sort of poison back then. And the monitor lizard was the only one with a forked tongue. Well, anyone who's seen, just Google European depictions of elephants by people who had never seen the animal. So people would later try to draw it, and they would see the old drawings with the forked tongue, not understand what those lashes were, and they kept adding lashes, and eventually, between that and the descriptions of the burning, venomous breath and whatnot, it got turned into fire. Kind of like how our description, or kind of like how our understanding of what a unicorn is, comes from them trying to translate the Greek interpretations of seeing a rhino for the first time. An armored, leathery horse with feet of an elephant. I'm just going to try to do a bit of a silhouette here with the wings because they're crazy. But yeah, I'm just going to put in general shape. Because again, I think a lot of this is going to be silhouetted. Like the tail. And now that I got that, I can go add the details. So I'm going to actually kind of draw it, how it looks. And you can kind of blur it together because it's really far away. And have you ever looked at a bird from far away? You know, have you tried to count its feathers? And some big ones you kind of can. You see, like, you really see the tips. But you might lose focus on a lot of them and they kind of blend together. So there we have our general outline for a Ho-Oh. I want to extend the wings a bit. Make them skinnier. Like that. There we go. Something like that. I'm actually going to leave that for now because, and not ink it, because I really don't know what I want my Ho-Oh to look like. Well, I don't know if I want to do the shadow, if I want to do, if I want to do silhouetted, if I kind of want to do some detail. I might make him like a maroon type silhouette. Like, do him dark in silhouette, but not black, but just have his colors kind of blotched together. And I really got to decide on that. Alright, so let's look at our Gary. Meow. And for Gary, I'm going to kind of put him right here between the two channels. And all I want is really just a little like that. Just a little lump. I want it to be so minuscule, especially because a lot of this is going to be deep blue. This is going to be deep blue because the sun, you're obviously not going to get too much reflection over here. And you're going to have a lot of orange effect. And then, you know, the orange and the purples and whatnot. So it stands out a lot right now, but it's really going to get buried. You know, this is another thing where, like, these back spikes, whatever you want to call them, I think they would look different, like if Gyarados was real, they would look different. from Gyarados to Gyarados. By the way, I'm curious, what does everyone think? Like, when you think of Thanksgiving, what food do you think of? For me, it's pumpkin pie. Like, I think of a turkey, a cornucopia, some leaves, and a pumpkin pie. Like, those two things are what make it Thanksgiving. A lot of my meals don't have a dessert to begin with, so just having a dessert makes the meal special. But, man, I like the Gary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink Gary, but I'm not going to ink the water around him because I'm not sure. I'm going to have the water dealing with him yet. Like how I'm going to have the water conditions and whatnot, and I don't want to commit to that. But I can commit to him. Because, you know, I can just put the water between him. Man, I feel like someday I'm going to find a song parody clip of, what was it? I commit to him. Okay, wow, that turned out great. Okay, so that was a fun little video today. I'm going to start being a little more formal with these. And try to not just, how we start. We did our introduction. So what did we do today? We got our first layer of background for this guy, which I was probably still going to add some more details, leaving that TBD for the moment. We got our first layer of trees. We kind of defined out our ocean line, our sun. Might still change the shape of the sun a bit and the size. We did this coastline a bit, so we can really spruce this up next time. Actually put some trees on there. I might even put some more squat executors as well to show that biodiversity, I think, would be there. And as well as getting our Gary down, our Ho-Oh silhouetted, which I'm pretty happy with. A lot of times I just want to do stuff and let it set, and I want to think about it and come back to it later when I feel fresh and see. Because I'll see it the next day and be like, oh, I did really like that, or I don't. Often I feel better about things the next day and I just end up going with them. But, you know, I can really see this piece starting to shape together. I'm really getting excited to see where it goes. I hope it's something you're excited to see as well. And of course, I hope the auction will go higher than the last one in order and raise quite a bit of money for the goal, which again, this one is going to the California Wildfire Relief Foundation. But it's going to be quite a few videos till we get there. And I hope to see you back here again for many of them. Here's one I'm sure I'm not the only one making. A roll with cranberry sauce and turkey.